Don't tempt him.
Welcome to the Threat Insights Weekly group call. I added something new to our agenda. I really like the way the secure stage highlights their accomplishments. Tiago and I thought it would make sense to add it to the weekly group meetings instead of our bi-weekly threat management sub-department level meeting. So there's a list here of the issues that have been closed since the 11th, so since the last time we met. We've got a script that'll keep this up to date, and we're just gonna share what we've closed. We don't need to go through it. So that's for you guys to look at and feel good about and high five each other on your own time. Exactly. Pat yourself on the back. There was nothing in the agenda for previous discussions, but that doesn't mean there might not be any. Does anyone have anything that they want to bring up? It'll be a real fast meeting today.
I had something about the ping. I don't think we need to talk about that. But Matt might want to update the thing that we're not going to look in there, or what your recommendation is, Matt.
Good call. So I haven't had the meeting yet, so I can't say definitively. So thank you for those folks that helped Tiago and myself get a rough swag on taking our metrics collection and migrating it to the usage ping. The quick recap on that is there's a big push specifically from product management, but I think organization-wide, to capture the monthly active user counts at all the different levels. So, I don't know, category, group, stage, whatever. The challenge is we are only getting session level data, so it's not individual user actions, and those are not considered accurate enough for gathering this MAU, as it's called, the monthly active user data. The telemetry team is working towards resolving that, and then also taking what we use today for Snowplow and making that the default solution for gathering metrics for self-managed customers, whereas today it's usage ping. A lot of back and forth on this one, but ultimately it doesn't seem worth it to me to spend two, probably almost entire iterations with most of the team working to re-implement the metrics we have in the usage ping, because the time it would take to do that work, plus the delay that it takes to actually start getting any of the data back from any of the usage pings, which is also only about 20% of the ultimate customers have that on anyway, then we're only buying ourselves probably 9 weeks at most before the telemetry team is supposed to have delivered the Snowplow for self-managed with user level capture anyway. And if we miss that by a milestone, then we're buying ourselves roughly 5 weeks. So why would we re-implement all of the metrics multiple times? So that's kind of where I'm at. And then we'll see how this meeting goes tomorrow with the product management leadership. But that's going to be my recommendation. We hold tight and we wait for the right solution to come to us instead of the other way around. And it sounds like the maintainers also support that decision.
Yeah, we have a tough time convincing maintainers to take double up work in that area.
Cool. So that's what I got for that one. So ignore the usage ping for now, unless
Thanks
you hear
for that.
otherwise, but hopefully that's the last you hear of it.
Thank you.
Anyone
Matt.
else want to nominate anyone else to update anyone on previous discussions? This is your time. All right, we got some demos. Take a look at them. Savash gave us some screenshots and a YouTube video. I haven't had a chance to watch those yet. And thanks, Alexander. Separation of security dashboard and vulnerability report on groups. Should we have that done now for all 3 dashboards, Alexander? No? Which ones?
Only groups. I mean, I guess technically projects is done, but it doesn't even have a security dashboard.
Because
so
it's
I don't know
just
if you
one
could,
thing.
Yeah, that's 13.4, Lindsay. We were going to actually make the dashboard for the project level, so there is something to split into.
But is instance done?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, instance is still, it's got the security dashboard. It has the new menu structure, and the settings are broken out, but the widgets and the list are still in the same menu tab.
think we found a good way to iterate on those and being able to introduce these small steps towards getting to that goal of new navigation without breaking anything. For customers, they might get a little confused for a week or two, but nothing should be broken.
Correct. Nothing currently is broken, nor will it be in the future, because we are all perfect here.
One thing I haven't seen a demo of, and what would be cool if we could get someone to record one, is around the related issues and where we're at with that. I think we might still have a little bit of work around the history display of relating and creating issues, but I know we've made a lot of progress on that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I don't know where we're at with that.
And I don't, Daniel's just been back for a day too. I think Savash has picked up a lot of this. So as a team, the front end will work together to give a demo as the wrap up of 13.3 is happening about where we're at and what we still have left to do.
Hey, Lindsay, I have something that's kind of related to this, but it doesn't fit within one of our menu or our agenda items. So Andy and I were just chatting. There's a lot of conversation that's gone on today that I haven't yet captured and synthesized, but we're still trying to make sure for the new, like the MR experience and some of the forward-looking design work around the triage experience. We got an interesting perspective from Thomas, and one of the things that we want to maybe put a hold on is not going to the tabbed view for the vulnerability list. So if you look at a lot of the mock-ups for all the redesigns, it's kind of a subtle design change, but there's now tabs for the different states. So there's a detected tab, there's a closed, and an alt tab. I think this is a bit of good fortune that I don't actually see an issue specifically for that in the breakdown. And I was going to request that we actually hold off on that, because we may decide to go a different direction with some of the designs, and it would be better to just not do that right now, as opposed to implementing it now and then 2 or 3 iterations later, sort of changing that dynamic entirely.
So Matt, you're referring to the MR Security Report MVC, correct?
I am actually talking about, let me get the picture.
Thanks. Sorry, I assumed you were talking about the tabs that we linked to off of the
No,
security
so
widget now.
that one I think we're still going to be okay with. It's on the project dashboard redesign.
Okay.
Let me get the thing up and then I will share what I am talking about. Yeah, so it's this little thing right here. So today everything is all on one page, and then we were going to go to these tabs by the different states. I didn't actually see an issue for that in the breakdown, so I don't know if I missed it or not, but I guess I'm saying, like, let's hold off and not do that. I was going to grab it out of 13.4 if it did exist.
I'm looking around for it right now to see if I can find anything too.
Okay.
So you want to keep them all still displayed in line,
Basically,
in one tab the way it is today?
Yeah, let's hold off on the implementation of just this reworking of the tab. So like the all tab is effectively the current list as it stands today. And then these are basically just like pre-done filters, more or less. So this one design element, let's hold off on that for right now. So if there's not an issue, I mean, we can even create it and just put it in a future state. We're not, I guess just to note, since a lot of the project dashboard improvements, like kind of like this stuff, they're all going to have this in the design mockup. I just wanted to call out that we can ignore that for right now.
Would it be a lot of effort to remove it from the design mockups that we have on that vulnerability list issue, Andy?
That's probably a good idea to do. No, it's super easy.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
I can do that.
Also can't find an issue around this, but we'll keep looking for it. Matt?
Cool. And if you don't find one, like I said, that's actually probably fortuitous. I know this is kind of a last minute thing we're changing, but better to pull it now.
From designs. Which, I mean, if we're missing that, we should take a look at the issues that we've created to track the vulnerability list work that's happening under that epic again, just to make sure we're not missing anything else too. All right, cool. Thank you for bringing that up. Hopefully that can bring down some of the points, because for 13.4, we are really high right now from a velocity planning perspective for the front end in 13.4. So we've got one issue here for planning breakdown. Oh, and Matt, you added this up here. I'm going to remove my trying to play stenographer in this meeting from up here. And let's take a look at this warn about failed jobs on the project security dashboard. You know, we've talked about this a couple of times, but there's been a lot of discussion and some updates that have been made to the design since we first talked about it. So I think maybe either Andy or Matt might do a better job of walking us through where we landed. And I'm assuming it looks like all of the issue descriptions been updated to reflect this back and forth. Right, Matt and Andy?
I did not design this, so I don't have.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So I'll kick it over to Matt. To you, Matt. I'm gonna go on mute.
Yeah, no, I think you at least saw it, right? I think you were
I did, yeah. So
on board with it.
yeah, I think it got pulled back to just. And let's make sure, are the final designs in the issue description or in?
They should be. So
Got it.
let's go ahead and I'll share again.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so really what we're talking about is this little header bar up here. After many, many back and forths about, you know, do we want to show specific details about the job succeeding or failing, or like, you know, pipelines or whatever. This is what we ultimately landed on. We're calling out, again, this is just on the default branch so that people know that. Last updated is just the time the job, I believe, completed. And then this is a link to the specific, I think that's the job itself.
Pipeline.
The pipeline, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the success state. In the case that there were any job failures within the pipeline, you'll see this badge. So success, nothing, failures, you get the badge. But in both cases, you're still going to see the same message about last time the pipeline completed with that link over there.
And that badge isn't clickable at all, right?
I think we landed on.
That badge links strictly to failed jobs.
To the failed jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot more moving parts before that, but so yeah, so that's pretty much where we landed on that one.
So based on that, do the folks here on this call feel comfortable going through our planning breakdown questions on this design issue? Alexander does. Looking at Jonathan and Daniel. They're not adamantly shaking their head no. Yes, okay, there we go. I saw a head shake and a thumbs up. So, you know, our first question is always, are the requirements clear enough? So does anyone have any questions on the requirements or edge cases or functionality?
Yeah, well, Matt, what should this show if a pipeline has not been run yet?
Good question. I think we had, was here one part?
Like ever, or?
Yeah, like you create the project and someone's like, what vulnerabilities do I got? And they go here and there's nothing there. There's the empty state. Do we just hide it?
It's a good question. I thought we had addressed that in these comments, but that may have, and I may be thinking of a very related issue. Well, that's a fantastic question. Let me see if I can find, there was this very similar question in another issue, and I think it pretty much boiled down to, it'd be awesome if we could just let the user know that there is not a security job that's ever been run against this particular pipeline. Go here and basically click to trigger a fresh pipeline run against the default branch. Let me see if I can find it. It might actually be buried down in a previous design on one of the comments here, but yeah, you definitely need an answer to that.
Do you know what the current status is? It looks like this, I think.
What do you mean?
Oh, this is a project that hasn't had anything run ever.
So there, it doesn't actually tell you whether there are no results or not. That could be that I think it ran, but it didn't find anything.
Yeah, it's not on the pipeline report. It's on the security dashboard.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is you don't know from this whether you got no results because it didn't find anything.
That's it.
In the scan run, or you haven't run the scan.
That's it.
Yeah, so we'll need something to address that one particular state.
So Matt, will you follow up in the issue on that?
I will.
Perfect. Any other questions about functionality? That's a good question, Alexander. All right. If anyone thinks of anything, feel free to put it in the issue. I think we can at least ponder the other questions to see if there's any gotchas, any dependencies of the work to be accomplished. Other teams, refactoring. Oh, we already have that information available to us as far as the status of the pipeline. I'm assuming there's front-end and back-end work required for this, as far as when we get into the planning breakdown.
Probably.
Some heads shake.
Yeah, there's some back-end work. The pieces are there. I don't know if it's exposed, but I think the methods that we'll need are there, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, everything should. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if it wasn't already exposed, because it's stuff that we pull up from the pipeline view anyway.
Yeah, Michal did something recently to find the last pipeline that does have a security job, because we have that problem where you have pipelines that run and they don't have security jobs. We don't want those. We're interested in the ones that do have them.
Right,
I just
so
don't
yes,
know.
That would be some back-end work to only return security job pipeline information.
Yeah. What I don't remember is if when he did that job, if he was already filtering for the ones that have security jobs and they succeeded or not, but we'll find out. Anyway, I don't think it's a big deal. It should be small.
Yeah, Alan had a comment about just using the pipeline.security scans as a search there.
Dope.
And then, I think, excellent. The third question we questioned, maybe we don't need to be asking this one, is the research and solution validation all complete? And I know that Matt and Andy, you guys have been through a lot with this one. Do you guys have any further confirmation or work to do in that front?
I think Andy's going to shake his head because, again, this is another designer that did this. In this case, this is actually kind of restoring a feature that existed before the first class vulnerabilities model. So this was something when it was the old, I don't even remember what the name was before that. Yeah, so we're just bringing something back into the UI that we had before.
Great.
If you need it for your report, Lindsay, then let's just say yes. Yes.
No, we're just gonna do
Somebody
it. And do we believe that this is small enough to complete in one iteration? If we were to ignore everything else that's on our plates, and this was the only thing, would this be something that could fit into one milestone? Alexander's got a yes.
I'm
Daniel,
gonna
I see you shaking your head.
I'm gonna let the front end answer that one, because the back end side should be definitely on that end.
Smaller. All right. So I added a new question just based. I had a coffee chat last week with Will Meek, who is our stable counterpart in test. And I learned a lot about how our end-to-end tests work and how he has been manually going through all of the secure stage issues, each milestone, to try and identify where there might need to be work to end-to-end tests and things that he might need to support to make that easier for him as part of our planning breakdown. It would be helpful if we mentioned him and said, hey, Will, we're going to be making this change in an upcoming milestone. Get this on your roadmap. So someone disagree with me if they think I'm totally off the mark here. This does feel like something that could use assistance from an end-to-end test perspective from Will.
Sure.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of things that we cover in those types of Selenium tests. So, eventually we might have more ownership over this, but for right now, this was his expectations. He says he'd like the engineers to write unit tests, but he's holding himself accountable for those end-to-end tests. All right, so we'll go ahead and mention him in this issue. Matt and Andy, do we know, this is prioritized for after the dashboard redesigns that we're doing. So the earliest that we would be starting on this would be 13.5. We're not trying to plan this for 13.4 right now, based on what we already have in 13.4.
No,
Okay.
I would call this something that people that were using it before miss it. They want it back. This is, it's a nice helper in the UI, but yeah, definitely getting all the dashboard stuff redesigned is more important.
Great. That's all I had for that one. If anyone else has anything on that particular issue for planning breakdown, go ahead and bring it up. All right, Tiago, I saw that you added another
I
agenda item.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, because last week we had a small wave of 2-3 S1s, and I want to thank everyone who jumped on it to resolve it. And I want to understand a little bit why they popping up all of a sudden. And I have an idea. They've all sort of been related to performance. We already know that we have some improvements to make in the vulnerabilities model. We already have some an epic with some issues that it's going to be done in 13.4 to clean that up a little bit. But from the team, if anyone has feedback to improve how we handle these, either in terms of communicating or having Zendesk accounts, or knowing where to find stack traces for these things, I'm all ears. And the S1 that I raised yesterday, I actually did downgrade it because it didn't affect everyone. It was a very specific. If you have more than 12 jobs or something like that running that generate a security report, it times out. So we're starting to see these performance-related things, which is probably a good indicator that people are using our features. Yay! But now we have to go and pay special attention to cleaning up those performance bugs, and having Will help us with those end-to-end tests and figure out how we can do load testing will be very, very handy. Anyway, just an awareness thing.
And to add to that, Tiago, I think some of the bugs we've seen have been less about performance and more about edge cases. I know we saw one about when you move issues from one project to another, that the dashboard was timing out loading because it wasn't able to find that issue or something along those lines. So
yeah, data cleanliness and performance. There were some related to performance things. They were searching too far back on the history of pipelines.
Gotcha.
But corner cases are definitely a good shout. They are there as well.
I was gonna speak up and nominate Philippe, because he's told me a number of times that he's really good at catching these kind of things. So if you're developing something that you feel like maybe you don't know all of the corner cases or the edge cases, because we're relatively new, I encourage everyone to mention him and say, hey Philippe, take a stab at testing this somewhere. I know you're great at breaking things.
He's amazing at breaking things. That's it.
Did anyone else have any other topics they want to bring up today? All right, everyone have a great afternoon.
Welcome back, Daniel.
Welcome back, Daniel.
Welcome back, Daniel.
Welcome back, Daniel.
Thanks,
Welcome
everyone.
back, Daniel.
Bye.
Miss you, Daniel.